Hello, and welcome to another episode of Tribunal of the Grid, where we talk about all things Power Rangers, including the actors that play them. My name is Brandon.
I am Lena.
And I'm Will.
And today we are coming to you with a very interesting episode because you know what? When we got started talking about the Morphin Masters and all that good stuff last week, we was just like, you know what? Let's expound on this because there's some things that this show is trying to obviously retcon. But if you want to look at it in terms, of like the show's like trajectory, there's some interesting things about the Morphin Masters that we kind of want to discuss and figure out. Like, what did they create and what didn't they create? Or at least our ideas on it, So, we decided we want to go ahead and, spill the beans and spill some tea and talk about that with each other, and kind of even maybe get you guys' ideas about it. But first, before we even get into all of that, I just want to remind y'all, we are on Apple Podcasts. So if you please like and subscribe and tell your friends. Tell your ancestors. Well, you can't. Well, I mean, if you can communicate with your ancestors, you can tell them too if they got iPhones. You know what I'm saying? Apple Podcasts. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell everybody. Tell all your friends. Like, tell everybody about this show because I think we do good work. Do you think we do good work? I mean,
I think we do fantastic work. Okay, like not just good, fantastic. Okay.
See, there you go. Even Lena agrees. I mean, Will didn't say shit, but I mean, Lena agrees that we do good work. I ain't heard you. I mean, you over there unless you talking like, like Janet Jackson and nobody can hear you whispering. I mean, unless you're giving that. Yeah, I think you were too. Sitting here whispering. Like, oh my gosh. Anywho.
Oh my God.
Yes, we are on all platforms. So please, if you can, please tell a friend and, like spread the word of Tribunal of the Grid because like I said, I think we're a pretty awesome team. And we do, not only do we cover things about Power Rangers, but we also cover things about the actors and what they do outside of their spandex as well. So, I mean, definitely, if you're interested in that and other people who are, send them our way.
First off, let's be one. Everyone's gonna be interested in that because you know why? We're talking mainstream stuff like Stranger Things last week, and more of that to come. And we know whether or not you are a Power Ranger fan, you are a fan of things like Stranger Things. Just saying.
Amen. Right. So I'm just like, I mean, if you're a Ranger fan and you actually, love the actors and stuff and you want to see what they're into and what they're doing after, I mean, we're perfect because it's like we discuss all the things. Like we talk about all that good stuff.
Right.
So it's like, why not listen to us? You know what I'm saying? And you get some good commentary. So I mean, like, come on.
Right?
I mean,
come on.
It's a no-brainer.
Funny. I think we're like hilarious. Okay.
Listen, girl. I be listening to our playbacks before we release these episodes. I promise you, I be cracking myself up.
Right?
At my own jokes.
I'm the same way. I am the exact same way, guys. So like when I'm editing back, I legit will laugh at the exact same jokes that I already laughed at on the show. It's so creepy because if you ever hear me edit and hear me watch my own wow. Anyways, hear my own voice.
Come on, watch your own voice.
Right? I'm not even kidding, or not even just me, but like anyone else that making a joke at that moment. Legit, I am laughing. And I remember one time I was on the phone with a friend. And I was doing the editing while I was talking to his friend. His friend was like, wait, what? Are you chatting to me? Are you chatting? I'm like, it's not me talking. It's my Tribunal of the Grid voice talking.
Wow. Oh, so you got like two different voices or like two different personalities? Like one for Tribunal of the Grid and the other one for your friends?
Absolutely. Kidding?
Oh my God.
Here, I can be like the most nerdy self possible. And guess what? No one will judge me. I realized.
This is I mean, sometimes.
Well, that's okay.
Oh, right.
Trust me, I know you guys love me, so I'm good. I'm good with that.
Wow. But while we're also judging Lena, we're going to also be talking about these Morphin Masters and what we think that they've done. Now, listen, when we first was introduced to the Morphin Masters, we were introduced to them in early Mighty Morphin during an episode where, Trini and Kimberly was babysitting this little girl who looked like she was like 18 years old. I mean, that little girl looked old. I'm sorry. She looked old as shit. But whatever. And
maybe it was the wig they put her in.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, that little girl, she looked old. But anyway, I mean, we're not here to talk about her looks.
Yeah, it could be makeup too. Makeup also.
This is true. This is true.
It does not help a little girl at all.
It didn't. It didn't. I mean, I was like, oh God. But anyway, and it is to her clothes. But never mind. Anyway, so they were mentioned in this episode, and they were supposed to be protecting the power eggs, right? This is the first and last time they were ever referenced.
Right?
So,
and that's what, 20 something, almost 30 years ago, right?
Almost 30 years ago, girl.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm like, so.
Sorry. We just age ourselves
girl,
a lot.
Listen, they don't need to know how old we are. I mean, some of us are a little older, than others on this podcast. So I don't want to, what I'm saying, start spilling tea on ages, what I'm saying, ageism. But anyway, so, but, I'm just like, we haven't heard of these Morphin Masters since, almost 28 years ago, almost 29 years ago, honey. So it's like, all right, honey, so what's tea? Who are these Morphin Masters? Who are these people who are lurking in the distance? You know what I'm saying? That's what we all want to know. And I mean, a lot of fans actually were kind of asking, literally, legit, who are they? Because many people didn't even remember that they even were in Mighty Morphin.
Right? But what I want to say, though, when they were Mighty Morphin, they do not look half as good as they do today. So somehow, age agree with them. Just saying.
I mean, listen.
I barely see them in that grainy footage.
Right. I mean, and plus, too, they look like they were dressed in monks or shaman clothing. I was like, all right. I'm like, y'all got makeovers?
Right? They age well. Okay? I'm just saying. They got a whole ass armor now, whole face shield. Man, they're getting with COVID-19 age. Look at them. Look at them. They're up to date.
Not COVID-19, sis. Not COVID-19.
They're up to date, They got their mask on. And they got their shields. They're ready. They're ready to take on the world.
I mean, hey.
And they've got staff and everything now. What the heck? They did not have that way back in the day. Way back in the day, they literally looked like exactly what you said. Monks with nothing, with no facial, face shield. Sorry, facial. Wow, face shield, no staff. They're not even floating. They're just sort of walking, almost
just kind of there.
I don't even know.
Yeah,
just kind of there.
Putting eggs into the ocean, and I'm just like, okay, girl,
right.
Whatever.
A bed and the puppies.
Okay, throwing them away, girl, throwing them away. And so, we're sitting here, we're like, all right, so this is the first and last time that we ever really catch ear of them. All right, so what they do? So we figure out now also the comics actually do dive deeper into the Morphin Masters and who they actually are. Now, if you're not reading the comics, I understand that, you may be asking these questions who the devil are these people? So I'm just sitting here all right, so they all of a sudden made a reprisal in the comics, and of course the comics is trying to kind of do a parallel with the show, but not really, because they don't really want to do too much with the show, because then they don't want to screw up with the continuity of the show and all that good stuff. So I mean, it's quite understandable, right? So now the show has introduced them, and on this particular episode, episode 8, it is shown that they are creating the Dino Thunder Dino, what are they? The Dino Gems?
The Dino Gems.
Yeah,
Or
the
the
Dino
Inner
Gems.
Oh yeah, Dino
No,
Gems.
Inner Gems is
The
Dino
Inner
Charge.
Gems. Yeah. There's too. We always say this. There's too many damn dinos.
Too many dinos. Too many dinos.
There's way too many. But to be clear, we are talking about Dino Charge, the Inner
Yeah,
Gems.
Inner
We are not
Gems
talking
are
about Dino
Dino Charge.
Thunder.
Yes. The Inner Gems are Dino Charge. Dino Gems are Dino Thunder. So, you know what I'm saying? It is shown that they are creating these things, and they also created a Nexus Prism for the Ninja Steel Rangers. So we know that they've been out here doing the Lord's work. Now, what else have they done? Because it's almost kind of like, all right, so if they did that, you know what I'm saying? And they also watching these Rangers in the distance, what else have they done?
Like a creeper. I'm sorry. They're watching these Rangers like a creeper. Like, I'm just saying, like, I don't think they were given permission to watch their lives and supervise them like that. And furthermore, if you're watching them and sort of like gauging what they're doing, why not assist?
Girl, I'm asking the same damn question.
Like, why not assist? Like, there are so many opportunities where things could have gone, well, actually did go absolutely wrong. Where were they? So my question is, how come they get to judge others while they've done nothing and sat back? It's almost like you watch a murder happen and you did nothing about it.
I mean, that's pretty much exactly what it is. I mean, technically they watched Steel die. I mean, they brought him back alive, you know, apparently, but you know, they did watch him die. So, I mean, you know, but I mean, that's neither here or there. But other than throw some eggs in the ocean and create some gems and some prisms, what else do we think they've done? So, I mean, we know that they haven't created the power coins. We know that. But the power coins are connected to the morphing grid, which they, I guess, supervise over, you know, or what else? Like, did they create it? Like, so is it confirmed that they created it, or they just watch over it?
It seems like they're pretty important figures. So I would think that they have something to do with the creation of it.
Because I kind of feel like, on one hand, I kind of feel like they've created it, and then I'm like, are they like protectors of the morphing grid? Like, you know, like,
right. And that's what I was wondering too, because like, okay, this is where I'm kind of confused. If they were introducing Mighty Morphin, and they only created what was recently mentioned, which is obviously the Inner Gems from Dino Charge, so that we're clear, and the Nexus Prism from Ninja Steel. So it makes me wonder, how did the other sources of power come to be if they are all connected to the morphing grid and they are in charge of the morphing grid? Who else is involved?
Right. That's my thing, you know, because now that raises questions, right? That raises questions of, yeah, exactly. It raises questions of like, who's doing what, and like, are they, you know, do they have something to do with these powers? So that's the question. That's the conversation of today. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, Mighty Morphin, like I said, we know that the power coins were created from.
Hey, Brandon, I have a question for you.
What?
What about the Tribunal of Magic? What role would they play in all of this?
Did they create them?
About that too, actually.
That's what I was thinking. Like, I don't know, because weren't they also in charge of, like, you know, like looking at cases and judging whether or not they should help them?
Well, I don't know, because then that also begs into play, like, are the Mystic Force Rangers, like, even though they're connected to the Morphin grid, does the Morphin Masters have anything to do with the creation of their powers?
What does the magic hybrid of magic have anything to do with the Morphin grid? And what position do they hold?
They may be, I guess, like, protectors of it as well, question mark?
You know, just wondering, because I'm like, wait, we might have to change your name now. I'm kidding. I love our name.
Girl, to what?
Guys, we're now the Morphin Masters. No, I'm kidding.
Girl, bye. But anyway, girl, but no, like, I mean, I don't know, that's actually a really good point, Lena, because it's like, but then again, you know, do we even know? Well, I guess we can probably confirm that the Mystic Force Rangers are part of the Morphin Grid. Maybe they are, but maybe they're not even connected to the Morphin Grid.
Oh.
Oh, because they are sorcerers. Right, they're sorcerers and sorceresses. So it's like, so are they like? Is their magic somehow a separate like gateway to the Morphin Grid? Like, is that how is that how it's working, or what is it giving?
Then that would I would have a lot of questions about the Zeo crystal also.
Well, the Zeo crystal, I think the Zeo crystal. Wait, that's a good question. What about the Zeo crystal? Because like, didn't they say that the Zeo crystal was sitting in Lord Zed's little Rita's palace, not Lord Zed's palace.
Underneath.
Yeah.
It was sitting underneath it.
Right?
Yeah, it was sitting underneath it. So
I want to say 6 feet under.
It's possible that they put them there, and then Rita just happened to build her castle on top of it.
Right. So I mean, well, hold on in my big Frida voice. Now they do say that it is explained that it was brought to Earth by an ancient race from the M51 galaxy. So it may have been created, and then this race found it and took it to the palace and hid it underneath it for some strange reason.
But how does it connect to the Morphin Grid?
That's the question. Is it connected to the Morphin Grid? That's the question. Because think about it. The actual powers, they never actually said anything about the actual Zeo power being connected to the Morphin Grid. They said that basically the Rangers get their powers from the crystal.
But then that also leads me to think, then how did the whole Shattered Grid happen? Because like, weren't they all connected to the grid, and that's how Lord Dragon was able to find them all, was through the grid?
And I'm also thinking, like, in order to morph, don't you connect to the Morphin Grid to morph?
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know, because let's think about this now. Is the biofield in RPM the same thing as the Morphin Grid then? Because technically the Morphin Masters they do have access to their powers. And I mean, they never outright said that it was the Morphin Grid that they were connecting to. They said it was the biofield.
No. And also because they were quote unquote created by Dr. K.
And she was just using the energy.
Like, right.
So if that's the case, then did the Rangers create the Rangers, Zordon and Alpha create the turbo powers then? Was that just totally original and not a part of the Morphin Grid?
I mean,
but then
we don't.
You know, that also makes me wonder now. How did Rita created the power coin to create Tommy?
Well, that was from Ninjor, because originally there was 6 coins, but during I guess, like, it was never shown on the show, but it was like, I believe it was like from a comic or something, from like a magazine. But basically they explained the whole war between Rita and Zordon, where basically they were battling, and finally they were at a stalemate, and they were just like, okay, let's do heads or tails. Rita tricked them and threw him in a time warp. He threw her ass into the dumpster, and he took the 5 coins, but she took one of them, which was the Green Ranger coin.
Right. Okay. But then that makes you question about Ninja now, because wasn't he helping create some of the powers?
Well, he forged the power coins, so he must have forged the power coins and linked them to the Morphin Grid.
Morphin Masters, you've now created this whole entire world that we're now questioning.
Right. Right. Because I'm like, I am Confucian. If y'all don't know about that, look it up. But but it's like it's one of those things where it's like, you really kind of want to be like, okay, so what did they actually create? Because like we said, we don't really know about the Zeo crystal, because the Zeo crystal kind of seems like it's its own standalone energy source. So if it is, then that means the Zeo Rangers technically do not have a connection to the Morphin Grid, technically. So are the Morphin Masters just out here like, we just, taking credit for something that we ain't got no, credit of, or you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my God,
what is it given?
So many teams of Rangers now. Like, that makes me question, obviously, Turbo, Space Rangers. I mean, mind you, they never explain where the Space Rangers ever got their powers. The Lux Galaxy came from a sword and a stone. Like the whole King Arthur business, What else? Like Lightspeed Rescue. How did their morphers even came to be?
For them, that it's man-made, obviously, but I always assume that they
Morphin Grid.
Somehow. Yeah, I was gonna say, I always assumed that they were connected to the Morphin Grid, but how did that happen? But they never said that they were connected to it.
Interesting. That makes me wonder about a lot of things now.
Oh my God, this is confusing.
It's very confusing, right?
They didn't explain anything.
It's very confusing. And see, and the thing is, what really kind of confuses me about all of this is the fact that when it comes to, your ninjas and all these people creating these powers and all this stuff, right? It's like, now we do know that the powers of the In-Space Rangers were created on KO-35. Now they may have had the abilities to actually connect to the Morphin Grid. We don't know. So it could be a situation where they did tap into the Morphin Grid and create these powers. However, what about, like you said, Lena, what about the situations of like your Lost Galaxy where you have the Quasar Sabers? Did the Morphin Masters create the Quasar Sabers? Are they the ones responsible for bringing back Kendrix when she died? Like, are they the ones responsible for bringing her back alive again?
My God. If they were responsible for bringing her back, that means they could have brought her back so long ago.
Facts.
They could have saved her when she was like sacrificing her life to save Cassie and the rest of the world.
They could have, but I guess they were like, you know what? Let's replace one blonde with another. How about that, huh?
See, if that's the case, that's so not right. So you're telling me that here you are creating such a dramatic scene that you all could have saved and break our little hearts at whatever age it was that we were watching this, and then bring her back at the end? No.
But you have to admit, though, that was a beautiful moment. That was such a beautiful moment.
But still, you did us dirty.
And now also to our listeners, we do know about the wonderful Valerie Vernon and what was going on with her. So this is clearly just conversational, okay? However, good point, Lena. But my thing is when it comes to the Morphin Grid and like the Morphin Grid and the Morphin Masters and what they've done, I do kind of feel like I think that the Morphin Masters are the ones responsible for saving Kendrix. I do. I think they are responsible. Some people say the Quasar Sabers did it, but if the Morphin Masters created Quasar Sabers, then wouldn't they be responsible for that?
This is true.
Question mark?
Right? Man. And what other teams of Rangers? What about Operation Overdrive? What's his name? Dr. Harvard created the morphers. So then, how did he connect it to the Morphin Grid?
Nobody knows. Now, maybe it's the same situation with Cam, where it was like everybody just hit up Cam and was like, yo, we need access to the Morphin Grid because we're trying to make some Rangers. And Cam is like, all right, I got you. You know what I'm saying? So
I forgot about Ninja Storm. Right. Oh my God. There's so many teams that are now in question.
Because Cam was giving access to the Morphin Grid to everybody. So I mean, word to the wise, like, so if we have anybody to blame, it's Cam.
Right? I wonder how much he sold those spots off for.
Yo,
like 10,000, 30,000, 50,000. Like, what do y'all want? What are y'all betting it at? I can see him doing that.
Cam is the power broker.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. Exactly.
Cam is the power broker.
Cam is the power broker. Oh my God. This is so true. Oh my God. And weapons. He can create weapons and swords. Oh my God. Cam is the power broker.
Like, how much you want for this blaster?
So what about some of the alternate realities, like the the 95 universe, the 2017 universe. They all are part of
Ooh.
they're all a part of the Morphin Grid as well. And we know that there's different dimensions. We've already established that. And then, like, I guess also with the show's continuity, there's how many universes are there? Or dimensions? There's 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all together, like, were the Morphin Masters responsible for those universes as well? Because some of them are connected to the Morphin Grid. Like they I believe they mentioned the Morphin Grid by name in the 2017 movie, right? Maybe.
Yeah, they do.
Maybe.
Yeah, they did connecting to the Morphin Grid, because that was the whole reason why they couldn't morph. It was like, we can't connect to the grid because we got to believe in each other and be one, and all this goobly gobbly goop, So that was the T on that. But yeah, it was connected to the Morphin Grid, yeah, and protecting the Zeo crystal. So
something I'm wondering is perhaps since they've started to kind of they're not fully answering these questions, but they're giving more insight to them. Maybe with the next chapter in a few years, when they start the new versions of the show, when they start the new film, maybe we'll get more concrete answers.
And I also have another question. How many are there really? Is there 6 or 7? Because it makes me wonder, because it has introduced the colors that we kind of already seen, and obviously Dino Fury. Sorry, I'm trying to figure out which Dino I'm talking about. But anyhow, how does that explain Dino Charge with his 10 Rangers?
Maybe they were just like, so we got some extra colors, you know what I'm saying, on this rainbow, and we got
what
some.
I was thinking.
Green was like, honey, listen.
Right? Because it seems like so far they have 6 Morphin Masters in this particular series, right? In the Dino Fury. So if there's 6 of them, wouldn't that mean there's way more?
And
there is way more Rangers.
Yeah, and there's other colors too, outside of the primary colors of the Morphin Masters.
Yep. So that's why I'm wondering now, how many Morphin Masters is there really? And what are they doing? Where do they reside? Oh my God. And like, are they all spread out all over the world in different dimensions? Are there different teams or different pockets? Like, what if
that's a good question?
What if almost every like dimension or country, wherever they're in, there's like a set of them?
That could be, because like that is a lot of power to harness for 6 beings, but I really hope that they answer this question.
Right? And then where is this Morphin Grid? Like, where is the source of energy coming from? Because it's got to be coming from something, right? Yes, I get that the Morphin Grid is in itself, but how is it being powered?
Girl, see, that is my question. That is my question right there. And I think I kind of asked that last week, and I'm just like, in a way, but let's go deeper, because we now talking about, specifically the Morphin Grid and the Morphin Masters. So exactly my question, and to go off of that, Lena, is like, okay, so what exactly is the Morphin Grid, and what exactly is the power itself? You know what I'm saying? Because they never really actually explained what the power is. It's kind of like you just make up in your head, like, it's whatever. You can turn it into whatever. You can manipulate it into whatever.
Right.
But you don't know exactly what it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't know what it is.
For beast morphers, obviously, humans were able to tap into the Morphin Grid and turn it into the Morphex, which is like fuel, kind of, sort of, and they're able to power things with it. So it's like, so you're able to not only transform humans and aliens into Power Rangers, create the Zords, but you're also able to have this energy make like
to power the planet, basically.
Power the planet, yeah. And then also do stop pollution, right?
Right.
Right.
It makes me also wonder, are the Morphing Master pissed that they're able to harness this kind of power and turn it and power the, like obviously to like limit pollution and to fuel the planet. So it makes me wonder, does that drain from the power grid? And how pissed are they, or are they okay with it? Like there was never any real permission given that this is okay. I get that they're great, they're good guys. That part obviously is established, right? But again, it goes back to the main question, was like, obviously, how is this being power? And is the power not being drained? And then it also makes me wonder, how in those like final fight scenes where they always end up losing their power, how? If it's connected to the morphing grid, wouldn't the morphing grid still be powered regardless of what happens?
Well, I don't think they're losing their powers per se. I feel like now the Rangers might lose their powers, but I don't think that the Morphin Masters or the Morphing Grid would be affected in any way. I think that the Morphing Grid is one of those things that's like, it's sustainable and it does its thing no matter what.
There was no given permission.
Yes.
They were talking about, like, how in the final form of battles, somehow the Rangers lose the actual power. So then how does that, like, wouldn't that affect the morphing grid somehow? Wouldn't it short circuit the grid? That's what I'm guessing, right? Like I'm just throwing some ideas out there, because it seems like they obviously, whatever happened to them in their final, final hours or final whatever minutes of battling, it shocked the system to the point where the morphing grid has disconnected from them. So then what does that happen to them?
Right. I think that, and this is just my theory, I think that whatever conduit that they use to connect with the morphing grid, or whatever that is created from the morphing grid, or created from the morphing masters that we've established, like, okay, so they are the creators of this, or whatever have you. If that thing has been, hurt or, damaged in any way, it just disrupts their connection to the morphing grid, but not so much actually harming the morphing grid itself. If that makes any sense. Like, it's kind of like, it's almost kind of like having like a battery, having like your phone, and you accidentally break your phone, but it doesn't do anything to your service.
Right.
So I'm thinking that's kind of where it is, and that's kind of what it does.
Oh, okay. I mean, that would make sense. But it's very interesting though, because I guess I'm just wondering too, because like sometimes, like I think in cases, in other cases where they're still able to have their powers. I can't remember which season of Rangers it was, but they're still able to regain their power because they believed in themselves. They believe that the power is always within them, because it is. That whole sentimental phrase. But yeah, it makes me wonder though. It really does. Wow, I have so many questions.
Yeah, I mean, like, I do kind of feel like, and I agree. But just to go back to the previous, like one of your other questions, I don't necessarily feel like they have a problem with, like, anyone using the grid, as long as they're not doing anything bad with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think they have an issue with it, because they kind of knew that Nate was, trying to do good things. So it was just kind of like, now if it was Laura Dragon, as we've seen in the comic, like, they were just kind of like, all right, bro, chill. Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? And he even attacked them. So it was just kind of like, now at that point, it's like, all right, girl, you're doing too much. But, so I do believe that, like, if you were using the powers, like, for, mischievous purposes, or like, malevolent purposes, then yes, it's like, all right, you got to chill. Hold on.
That makes me wonder about the evil Rangers that we received, kind of like the Psycho Rangers. How are they tapping to the Morphin Grid or whatever they're using?
I don't know if they were.
Yeah, I don't think they were using the Morphin Grid.
I would say, oh my goodness, the A Squad. Maybe.
Right. That's what I was thinking.
From SPD.
Right. And then what about like what's his face? Liam? No, was it Liambo? Liambo was Eva first too. And then there was another Ranger. I can't remember all their names right now, but like I'm sure we had several evil Rangers in the past. How are they connected to the Morphin Grid and be able to use it?
Trent, that's one. I don't know. because initially, like for Trent in particular, it wasn't supposed to be used for evil, but I guess the Mesogog came into contact with into possession of the white Dino gem, and then he just, I don't even know, like, was it just the spell or whatever he had him under? Because like technically the power, like, it wasn't evil. It was, I think Trent was like more under a spell.
Right, but not just Trent, like all the other Rangers too. Like, kind of like what we talked about, like SPD A Squad. They weren't exactly evil, but they weren't exactly good guys either. They were fending for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then like they're still able to use the Morphin Grid. Then it makes me wonder, what if the Morphin Grid doesn't even know what's good and bad?
That's true. I mean, because it is an energy source. It's not sentient. So it's not like, it's, and I'm guessing that's why the Morphin Masters protect it, because it's like, okay, well, it's just this big power source that we have no idea what it is and what it does. So it's like the Morphin Masters are like these guardians of it. So they're the ones who, I guess, are the judge and jurors of like who can use it, who should use it, and who shouldn't. And I mean, hell, they've been around for, apparently millions and millions of years, going back to Zato. So, I mean, if they've been around since that long, they know who's good and who's not. I mean, they didn't see it all.
Clearly not, because they're still letting a bunch of evil Rangers taking it up and using it.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I don't think that the evil Rangers are like they have any control over it. Because I mean, think about it. With the A Squad Rangers, remember now, they were once people who worked for SPD. So technically, they've already had access to the power before they started working for Grum. So, I mean, technically speaking, like they were good. They were, good people, working at one point. And plus, they were given the powers from SPD. So it's different if they, what I'm saying? Like, it's different if they actually, went to the Morphin, like, took the energy from the grid themselves and powered themselves. That'd be different. But since the powers were given to them, it's kind of like, we're just people who, just doing whatever. And, they decided to go work for Grum. Now I do think that the Psycho Rangers come from like a totally different thing. I don't think they're connected to the grid at all. I think their power actually no, they said their powers were connected to Dark Spectre. Oh my gosh, that is very hard to say. Dark Spectre. So yeah.
Did Dark Spectre die at one point, but yet their powers were still continued?
That is well, he died at the end of space. Right. He died at the end of space, but remember, they were rejuvenated by Trakina. So maybe Trakina had her own power source when she, revived them.
Because that makes you wonder, like exactly what he said. They were connected to Dark Spectre, then he was gone, and then if he's gone, how I mean, obviously that's getting way too deep, but yeah, that makes me wonder. But yes, go on.
I was gonna say with the Cyclone Rangers, the Rangers defeated them in space, and then they were ghosts, and then they were able to, I forgot how they became corporeal again.
They came back, they went into the machine, the card machine, and the machine gave them back their bodies.
Okay. And then they, after they were defeated again, they were put on the key cards. Then fast forward to Lost Galaxy, they were, Trakina got the, or was it Deviat? Got the key cards, took them off, and then they were alive again. So I guess it, like, even though Dark Spectre was gone, like they still were able to exist. So I guess like Dark Spectre didn't really have much to do besides like creating them.
Well, no, because remember now, when Dark Spectre remember that was the whole point. Remember that is the whole point of why Astronomer was trying to keep the Rangers from finding out about Dark Spectre, their connection to him, and kept dragging them out of battle every time they got close to defeating the Rangers, because she was draining Dark Spectre's energy. So technically, at one point, they were connected to Dark Spectre. Okay. So, it's like, all right, so when they died, they were draining Dark Spectre every time they went out to fight. So like when they died, I guess that kind of severed their connection to Dark Spectre. But when they were reanimated again, my guess is that they were probably reanimated, but they didn't have the same power that they had originally because they were connected to Dark Spectre.
I mean, they were stronger for round 2, that's for sure. So I can see that.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe they weren't, they weren't connected, and maybe they had their own power source or whatever the case may be. But originally they were connected to Dark Spectre. They were spawns of Dark Spectre.
Was something else that I'm thinking about now is the copies of Rangers when we would get the episode with Evil Rangers, in particular. Oh my God, which one? Mighty Morph. What was it? Mighty Morphin Mutants.
Mutants.
Now, do you remember they had the badges of darkness, which made the putties morph into Rangers? Was that right? You think that was connected to the morphing grid?
No. I think that was magic. I think that was dark magic that gave them those powers. I don't necessarily believe that they were connected to the morphing grid. The only ones that I am pretty sure that were morphing grid created were the Shadow Rangers and Turbo.
If Turbo is connected to the morphing grid.
Exactly. If Turbo is connected to the morphing grid, it would be Turbo for sure. It would be Turbo, because those are the only ones that actually, when the Rangers' powers were drained, they were actually drained to create the actual Rangers. So the actual Rangers came straight from them. You know what I'm saying? So, those are the only ones that I can think of that are like literally, okay, these are definitely powered by the same energy that may power the Rangers. Now, we just don't know if it's the morphing grid or not. We don't know. But actually, I do want to bring it back a bit. When we're talking about like your man-made created ones, like your Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force, SPD. Now,
RPM.
Now, RPM, we kind of know it was the quote-unquote biofield. But when it comes to who powers those, do you think that the Morphin Masters that they found the morphing grid and maybe created the Rangers off of that? Or do you think that whoever created the powers, like, your Miss Fairweather or your Cat Manx, or, the Time Force, the Time Force Academy or whatever, do you believe that those people already had access to the grid, or do you think that they created those powers on their own?
No, they had access to the grid. There is no way that they were able to create something like that on their own. Not that I'm saying they're not smart enough. It's just that this is a whole new level of power and a whole new level of almost magic, if you will. Because like if like power just were to really exist, like let's say in our world, and to have them like morph like that, that's considered magic.
It's difficult because I can see humans somehow finding the morphing grid and being able to siphon energy from it to create all of the technology, but at the same time like I'd hate that they didn't give us like any freaking information, because like I guess it is possible that some of it could be completely just man-made.
And I guess that's where I'm coming from with it, because I do think certain seasons, like your Lightspeed Rescue, I do believe that Lightspeed Rescue and maybe Time Force, I do think that perhaps they might actually have powers that are now not maybe not Time Force, but Lightspeed Rescue, I kind of have a feeling that maybe Miss Angela Fairweather created those powers on her own. I actually do kind of believe she did, because that woman and her team created literally every single thing that the Rangers have. And they kind of make it seem like she was doing all the work. You know what I'm saying? Like she was the one who created all the technology and the Ranger suits and, all this stuff, the Zords, everything. It was like she created all of that, her and her team. So I think personally specifically with that team, I think it was created by Angela Fairweather alone, her and her team alone. I don't think they necessarily had powers of the morphing grid. Now, does it explain how all of a sudden Kelsey knew how to fight? No, but you know what I'm saying? Because everybody else, Kelsey and Carter, because everybody else, and Joel, God damn it. But I mean, pretty much.
Basically, it doesn't explain a lot of the members of the team.
I mean, yes, it doesn't explain, over half the team, but it does kind of give you an idea, I think, that, maybe perhaps like their powers might, they may have tech that is giving them these skills and not the morphin grid itself.
So,
you know what I'm saying?
Right. So I think that's where I'm kind of confused though, because like obviously this is going to touch base on the comic series. And along with Ninja Steel's one episode where I think it was like what I can't remember what it was called. Like what was her episode, the team up episode where they're
Come on, Dimensions in Danger?
Yes. So I guess it doesn't really, and same with the Mega Force, that mega battle where they're all connected. So it really doesn't answer how they're all connected if it's not connected to the morphing grid.
Right, and how were their powers able to be manifested? And
that's where that's why I'm like, are you sure is Miss Bellwether alone? Or maybe she believes it is her, but somehow she tapped into a source that she wasn't able to explain herself. My guess, my guess.
Oh, you did that. You did that. Now, that would be a story. That would actually be something that I would have loved to have seen, as like this, kind of like giving us an idea of how the Lightspeed powers were created. Right? That's actually really good, Lena. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that is, it's not, that's, I guess that's what I was trying to explain earlier, but not properly finding the right words for it, is that I just don't think that none of it is actually ever created like by humans. Somehow is connected to the morphin grid. They just don't know.
I was you bringing up some of those team up episodes that also, well, that makes me think that perhaps the Morphin Masters maybe revealed themselves to previous Rangers to give them their powers back, because that's something that's not usually explained at all.
Good point.
Like, why the hell? Like, Forever Red was the first example, and we saw a lot of those powers destroyed. So it's like, well, actually, I guess the turbo powers we thought were destroyed.
Nonetheless, I get where you're going with this. Some of the powers were gone, some of the powers, some were lost.
And then later on, for like other team ups, we actually did see powers destroyed, but then years later they're able to morph again. So it's like what maybe the Morphin Masters see what's going on in these stories, that these untold stories that we have, because we are aware that there are many Ranger adventures that have happened in the last 20 something years that we don't have the stories to. But maybe
like
Morphin
Adam was a perfect example. Remember how he had such a hard time morphing in Power Ranger in space? And then he comes back,
and then Operation Overdrive. Right? Yeah.
He's like,
well, that also makes me think too, is the Sentinel Knight somehow a representative of the Morphin Masters?
That could be. I was just gonna say, like, wow, the Sentinel Knight we haven't heard from since that episode in Overdrive.
Well, I mean, he came back at the end. He came back at the end when he gave Mac his new body. You know what I'm saying? Made him human. So he did. He's no longer a Ken Barbie doll, but you know what I'm saying?
You mean a robotic Ken Barbie doll?
Right. I mean, he now has a piece, but you know what I'm saying? I kind of wonder what, like, did the Sentinel Knight like bless him with like a mighty one, or did he just kind of give him like a regular? Anyway, that's that point. Anyway,
I mean, I would want to know too. Just saying.
I mean, because I don't think Mr. Hartford, you know what I'm saying, was trying to give the boy a wheelie. I don't know. I mean, maybe he was like, I want my son to be a Mandingo. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
How did Mr. Hartford explain that to him?
Right.
Why he doesn't have one?
I mean, maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe he does. Maybe he does have one and we didn't know.
Oh, this is true.
I mean, these are questions that need answering. Okay, Power Rangers. Like, I mean, Jonathan Entwistle, if you're listening, like, we need to know the answers to these questions. I'm just saying. But like the Sentinel Knight, like, he was technically supposed to be like, I guess like the person who was like, okay, go after the Corona Aurora, which was the Corona jewels figments of the Morphin Grid.
Right.
Or from the Morphin Masters. Like, did the Morphin Masters create the Corona Aurora? Mm-hmm.
So many questions.
You know, because they never explained where the Corona Aurora came from. They just said, oh, these are just some random ass jewels that, you know what I'm saying, that was on the crown that Motor and Flurious was fighting over, and then they got sent to planets Ice and Fire or whatever foolishness. And, you know, they became mutants. So it's like, okay, so what's the tea? Like, you know, so, you know, did the Morphin Masters create those artifacts? Like,
and if they create them, wouldn't that mean that they start a whole ass battle for no reason?
I mean, listen, yes, they did. They sure did. And I mean, I bet the Morphin Masters was sitting there with their popcorn, enjoying the show. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, they sitting there watching everything anyway.
Right. They're like, oh yeah, this Mac guy, he's a robot. Let's see what happens.
Okay, drama.
Drama. Oh my God. Oh, what if it's one of those situations where there are like literally a whole ass planet, like we know, like we mentioned before, that could be. And it's one of those situation in Ninja Steel. Remember how like in Ninja Steel they had like this whole game show situation going on?
Mm-hmm.
What if it's one of those situations? Who can create the worst battles of them all?
Okay, that's kind of morbid. I would hope that the Morphin Masters aren't that terrible. Jesus Christmas.
I mean, they killed Kendrick, so I don't know.
Well, no, they didn't kill Kendrick. They brought her back, but they didn't kill her.
I mean, okay, first they killed her. Let us all cry about it. Let all her family and friends cry about it. And then once the battle was done, they rewarded the team with bring Kendrick back. I don't know. That sounds like a whole game situation to me. That was their trophy.
I mean, there could be a reason why it happened like that.
Oh my God!
Like she could what?
Do not give us. There's a logical explanation for this. Do not do this.
Well,
like they may not have been able to bring her back right away after she physically died. It might have just taken, it might needed to have taken time to bring her back. We don't know what the rules of resurrection are in the Power Rangers world.
This is true. No. This is true. I mean, we don't know what the rules are, and I mean, the thing
you don't. But then wouldn't that mean all the monsters will come back too?
Well, I don't think they would care about the monsters.
We're talking about Rangers that are a part of
the. Yeah, because I don't think they would care anything about the monsters.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah, I mean, well, hold on now, because that was the Zordon wave. Never mind. Sorry. That was the Zordon wave. Because I was gonna say, what about Rita and Zed? But never mind. That was the Zordon wave that did that. That was the Zordon wave. But yeah.
Yeah, I see. I don't know. It's just there's just so many questions. But the Zordon wave, that also makes me wonder how connected to the Morphin Grid is he? Because his power is so strong. Exactly like you said. They brought back Rita and Zed and turned them back to humans.
Or turn them into humans, because I don't think they ever were.
Oh, or that.
I don't know. And it was always interesting that his wave only went so far.
Right. And that was the other thing. I'm so surprised about that too. I don't know. It really makes me wonder though, how deeply connected is Zordon with the Morphin Grid, and how much does he know? Because he seems to always know stuff when it's like kind of a little too late for the Rangers. Then he'd be like, oh yeah, by the way, I have this that will help you. And you're like, oh, well, that's great. Why didn't you tell us that before?
Zordon always knew stuff when it was convenient, which is like, all right, bro.
That's what I'm saying. So how deeply connected is he to the Morphin Grid? You know, like, is he in connection? Like, what's up, Zordon?
I don't know if I always felt this way, or if maybe more recently I felt this way, but maybe he's not connected. Like he's like he's not in it. He's not in it. Maybe it's a situation where he just is aware of it. He's aware of how to manipulate it, and then that's it.
wasn't 2017 Zordon connected to the Morphin grid?
I think that one was.
No, 2017 was created to the ship's matrix.
Oh, okay, right.
Right. Man, I have so many questions, Morphin Masters. Look what you've done to us. We're creating a whole ass episode on you. Why?
Okay.
Because you need to give us answers.
Well, the thing is, you can tell that the show totally tried to retcon everything because, I mean, think about it. Like, first of all, I think that the show was trying to retcon everything because I do feel like the Dino Charge writers, when they wrote Dino Charge, they really were like, crap, we screwed up. Because that finale, I don't think that they really knew what they were doing. So they just were like, you know what? We just created a boo-boo. So let's just say Dino Charge is in its own separate dimension. But then that also begs the question, it's like, all right, bruh, so if they in their own separate dimension, like what's the connection between this dimension, the RPM dimension, and the Earth Prime dimension with all the other Rangers? What's the connection? You know what I'm saying? And I think that they thought about it and was like, the Morphin Masters, they can be the connection. So now they're trying to like go back and like piece everything together and be like, all right, so Ninja Steel is a part of this one, Dino Thunder, Dino Charge, they all, yep. The Morphin Masters created all of it. So it's like, okay, so if they did, how are you going to explain Zeo? How are you going to explain Turbo? How are you going to explain, Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force,
Wild Force?
Wild Force?
Wait,
right.
Force. How was Wild Force connected?
Right. Like, are the power animals, created from the Morphin grid, from animals themselves? Like, did the Morphin grid just kind of like,
Will's like, I have a now.
It's just because like initially they obviously didn't have any freaking plans on explaining anything because it wasn't supposed to go past 40 episodes. So, and then even when we got more seasons, it's like, let's just build. I feel like that's how it was. And now that it's become such a nostalgia piece, and they know that they have a lot of adult fans that are really passionate about it, they're kind of trying to, like give
everything,
connecting things make sense.
Right. Create a world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I said before, I'm hoping, I'm assuming and hoping that we'll get a little bit more with Simon Bennett throughout this next season, and then once Entwistle takes control, that we'll get maybe get more concrete things. Something that I'm hoping is maybe for canon's sake to give us some to fill in those plot holes of things that have been going on for all of these years, either comics or freaking animated movies with our actors voicing them. That'd be so freaking cool, because there's, oh my god, there's so many plot holes that I want to know what the hell has been going on, what happened. It's so much.
Right. I mean, like, here's my thing, right? And we didn't even touch on like your Neo Saban seasons, but I mean, girl, whatever.
Are they really worth mentioning?
I mean, other than Dino Charge, we really didn't touch on them like that. But I mean, whatever. But
I mean, are they really worth mentioning? I'm just saying, like, I don't know how they
Ninja Steel, but that's because it was explicitly a part of the last episode.
Right, exactly. But I will say though, just for a moment, if you want to talk about Megaforce, here's where my problem is with that, right? So, of course, we know that Megaforce Rangers had, access to all the powers, right?
Yes.
So somehow they had access to all these powers, to powers of every team. Somehow Gosei had these powers. Now,
and who is Gosei? And how does he gain these powers? And how does he even like link to the grid like that?
Well, according to him, he was Zordon's protege. Zordon sent him to Earth. You know what I'm saying? At some point between like in space and now. I mean, well then. I don't know. Somehow Zordon was like stuck, with Dark Spectre and was like, all right, bro, I need you to go to Earth. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm stuck with Dark Spectre though, but go ahead and go to Earth and protect it while I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Like,
but then he was on hiatus all this whole time until like the Megaforce Ranger comes along, and then we never hear from him ever again.
Girl, listen, I don't know. I mean,
like I'm just saying, like the teams now could actually use all those extra suits that we're providing them.
I mean, and also too are now like the new powers that came after Megaforce, like your Dino Charge and all of them. Are they now sitting in Gosei's, command center?
Right?
Are they now sitting there now?
Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, where is his power and what is he doing?
They should have had a definitive ending to that season, like where the powers were destroyed or something.
And I still don't understand how they got capes one season and no capes the other. What was it? Capes? I can't remember now. It was like a
pirates, yeah.
Oh, pirate, yeah.
Well, it was a power up.
Was that what it was called?
Yeah, super mega.
Oh.
Oh,
so unimpressed.
Even though they had Ultra, which I think Ultra is, more powerful than Super, maybe? I mean...
Right, but whatever the power they had, it did not seem like they put a wedge in their battle at all.
I mean...
it's true.
I mean...
Like, whatever they're battling, like... They were still struggling, okay? Yeah. I'm like, isn't Beast Mode supposed to give you more mode? Isn't Ultra supposed? Okay, like I've never heard Ultra until like Megaforce came along, and I was expecting Ultra to like blow my mind. Ultra did absolutely nothing.
Ultra just gave them armor, which I was like, okay. So I thought Ultra would be, stronger than Super. I would think because Ultra sounds, more stronger than the Super.
Like, okay, this is what I'm picturing when I hear the word Ultra. I'm picturing literally all the abilities from RPM abilities to Dino Thunder abilities, where they have super speed, supersonic scream, like, I don't even know, like something crazy, like ninja-like moves, something so ultra that it's like, whoa.
I mean,
now that.
To be honest, like, I feel like the metallic armor was like ultra. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, at least, you know what I'm saying? They were, like, moving lightning fast, and you heard metal clanking when they would hit the little tangas and stuff. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I would have thought that, that power would be ultra, but according to Megaforce, it was just armor. It was just armor. So, I mean, I don't know, but...
So depressed. It's so shameful that they wasted all... You know what? I know what... Okay, this is not to bash, like, Megaforce in any means, but I just no, and I don't say this like I do say this seriously though. I feel like they hyped it up so much and they gave that season so much power, like legit so much power, that I just felt by the end of it that they did absolutely nothing with it. And it really did, like, with the amount of power that they were bringing into the show, I was really hoping for a much more epic of a season, and it wasn't. And it was just kind of sad because like this is the first season that we've ever gotten that much power in one sitting.
That
is crazy. Like I was genuinely expecting it to blow my mind. Like I was expecting it to be one of my top 5 favorite seasons, and then it did not happen that way. It ended up becoming a season at the bottom of whatever list I got going on right now.
Right, that was really unfortunate because that, like, to have the ability to become any ranger from all across the board, and they squandered it. And then like I remember when we got the premises for the season, I kind of like I got on my my fanfic and like thought of all these ideas of things that they could do to build up to the big battle at the end. Like I thought it would have been cool if they would have introduced either rangers or teams maybe to help out with missions or something, throughout the season, and then that will kind of explain or at least build up to the big battle at the end. And like, it was an anniversary season. It would have been nice to see those characters again, but they did what they did. So.
Here's my thing, right? So it's funny that you say that, Will, because I had a whole idea on what I felt like it should have been. Megaforce, now we all know Power Rangers love the name drop, right? Megaforce was that season the name drop. That was that season to show that all the worlds are connected if they were actually trying. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I blame, TotG for being such a terrible producer for this season, because it was obvious that all he wanted to do, which, I mean, we know this because, I mean, this was obviously a rumor that, has been going around about him for a while, which, I mean, is kind of proven. But we know that TotG loves Sentai. Like, he loves the Sentai. He's a huge fan. And I guess from what I've heard, it was said that for Megaforce, he wanted it to be action heavy. So basically, in other words, Sentai heavy. So he was just like, well, let's just go ahead and put all the suits and everything, all over, the kids, all over the TV screens, and just put up random suits that we've never seen before from Super Sentai, because you know what? I like TotG, loved Sentai, obviously, and he wanted the show to be action heavy. So he put up a whole bunch of Sentai scenes and called it a day. My thing is, it's like, okay, so you did this, but there was no plot to it. There was no reason as to why we seen any of those characters, any of those suits, any of these random suits, because they're like Blitz new powers. Where did it come from? Where did those powers come from?
Do you think that was kind of like the start of, maybe not the start of, but like a really big, oh my goodness, like like how they're retconning things now because of how badly they
screwed up
with explaining things.
They screwed up.
Do you think that was kind of like another really big part of it? Because you're introducing suits that we've never, like, there were never seasons with those. So where the hell did they come from?
Right. So here's
we ever going to explain it?
The comics are explaining those suits, and I love that they're doing that. However, there needs to be a situation where we actually get a glimpse of these suits in the actual show in some sort of fashion. We need to be able to see, suits from Bioman. We need to be able to see suits from Flashman. We need to be able to see, suits from Masked Man. We need to be able to see these suits, because the thing is, it's like at some point we need to be able to see them because they were introduced in Megaforce, so we know that they're around. We know that they were once Rangers. So I feel like since the show is now retconning, because obviously, like, when Super Megaforce did what they did, which, I mean, I feel like, honestly, to be real 100 about it, they didn't even need to do that. I feel like it was just TotG being lazy as shit, and just was like, just throw a whole bunch of just like stuff in there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it was laziness, pure laziness, and also money, because time is money, and this show is obviously, it has a terrible budget. Laziness plus money, and obviously that's why we had the terrible, like, legendary battle that we had, and also poor planning, because that was also a large part of why that episode was so terrible too. It just goes back to having care and actually caring about what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, actually investing and actually caring. Because for me, and maybe he did care. I don't know. I can't really say that he didn't care. I can't really say that he did. But the proof is in the pudding. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying? Because for me personally, if I care about something and I really, 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 really care about it, I'm gonna do what I need to do in order to make it work. You know what I'm saying? And it just kind of feels like the show itself from the very beginning, these mugs ain't never changed clothes. I mean, let's think about that for a second. The Megaforce Rangers never even changed clothes. So it's like, okay, they wore the same outfits every single day. You don't know anything about these kids other than, Jake had a stalkerish crush on Gia. Gia had no personality. Noah was supposed to be the smart guy, but Gia always made him look stupid. Like, I mean, they didn't have personalities. There was nothing special about these people. So the show did the characters a major disservice. All we saw was the Rangers in suits for like 20 minutes, and for the other 2 minutes, we saw them out of suit and credits. So, I mean, literally, the show did nothing for them as characters. Then, hey, let's even go back into this. Super Mega Force, they brought in all these random suits and didn't explain none of them. They didn't say, oh, these powers came from these people. Well, they did, but they didn't give no explanation of them. It was just like, oh, okay, well, here's the thing. So it's just like, what is it given? Like, why are they here? And they could never do that. They never explained it. So it's just like, it's one of those things where it's like, now they're fighting so hard to try to be like, okay, so let's try to explain away, why certain things made absolutely no sense. And and honestly, that's why I believe that Jonathan Entwistle has, been hired to basically, rework the show's universe. Because literally, like, there's nothing about this show that makes sense. Because, I mean, it's obvious that the writers and the creators, they didn't think it was going to go as far as it did. So they were literally making standalones and doing all this other stuff, just trying to create stuff. And it's like, okay, that's all well and good, but now you have a whole universe. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if you're going to say the Morphin Masters created certain things and, created certain artifacts and certain things like that, you need to be able to tell, okay, what did the Morphin Masters actually do? Like, what did they actually create? And not only what did they actually create, are the Morphin Grid powers associated with all the Ranger teams? Because if that's the case, explain how Miss Fairweather got the power. Explain how the Time Force Academy got the power. Explain how Dr. K was able to find a quote unquote biofield, which is the Morphin Grid. You know what I'm saying? Like, explain how the Samurai Rangers, had created clans out of the Morphin Grid. And if we're talking about clans and generations, that's hundreds of years. So how did those ancient samurai come in contact with the Morphin Grid? And they also passed that power down generations and generations. So how is that possible? These are all things that need to be explained. I'm just saying.
And also, I'm also very curious as to how the energems stop aging the people that uses them. And why not all the other powers that we have access to? How come they don't stop aging the Rangers, but just the energems? Why? I mean, technically, it's connected to the Morphin Grid, and they also established that it is connected to the Morphin Grid. So why is that the only source of power that seems to not age this particular team of Rangers? Then that also makes me wonder, technically in the future, they can't bring them back for cameos anymore because at some point, these actual actors are going to age.
I mean, they could easily retcon it where
but you know what I'm saying, because in all fairness, if they're still using the Energem Stone, that means that this team of Rangers are not going to age anytime soon,
right?
Just like Coda. Oh, how would they explain that? Oh my god.
I mean,
like, no, seriously, like, can you imagine?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Like, can you imagine them all getting to relationships and things are going great and fine and dandy? Well, I mean, I guess, like, if Shelby and Tyler end up together, they don't really have to explain to nobody how they never age. But I'm talking about, like, other Rangers,
Well, yeah, that's true.
Right?
I mean, well, if Chase got with, if Riley got with Chase, then, I mean, they wouldn't have to explain nothing either.
Mean, yeah, that's true. They won't have to explain anything either. But how would the Prince Phillip explain the fact that he has never aged and he still can rule his country or wherever he was ruling? I can't remember how big his place was, but you get
this is true.
Like, how would he explain that? Like, oh my god, his kingdom would think that he's some kind of sorceress. Oh my god, they might hang him.
No, oh my god, this is not the 1800s, girl.
I don't know. I mean, they have knights, okay? I don't know. Jeez. They have knights and castles and kings and queens and prince still. So I don't know. You tell me, what century are you in? I mean, it's definitely not England, so it can't be Prince Philip and Harry and whatever they're all their names are. I don't even know anymore. They have way too many names going on. Man, I have so many questions. Like, this is, yeah. So why not the other team of Rangers? Why don't they age? Why don't they stop aging? But just the Energems. And
I mean, that is a good point. That's a very good question. I mean, like, and then also too, it just goes back into like what powers does what, and when they are connected to the morphing grid, like how does the morphing grid actually affect them? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does the morphing grid actually affect those powers? Like, what exactly does the morphing grid do? What does it do? You know, just like we asked at the beginning of the episode, because, you know, we know that when a person becomes a Power Ranger, they, you know, are, they get enhanced strength, enhanced speed, enhanced agility, enhanced durability. We know that, you know, but there are certain teams that when they get powers, like, for example, the Dino Charge Rangers, like you said, they don't age. With the Dino Thunder Rangers, they get superpowers, like they get added powers. So, you know, it's like, so since that's the case, you know, like, how does this work? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it given? Like, how is it certain powers and certain teams get certain things, and then, you know, other teams, they're just basic. Like, they just get, you know, just the bare basics and be like, all right, go fight and save the world. You know, what are the qualifications for getting extra special treatment?
Right. And so far, we've only seen it's just the Dino Charge team that gets the non-aging ability. And you know what? This also, speaking of which, this also reminds me of the CW crossover team up with the I can't remember what it was called, but it was the season where I guess the world was ending and they're heading to a dark hole, and all the superheroes from different seasons, from different dimensions, from different universe came to try to stop it, but only certain ones were selected. I'm not sure if you guys
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Yes, that's what this reminds me of.
Yeah.
And what if it plays out similar to this?
Snappity snap, snap, snap. Girl, what if at the end of Dino Fury, we have a Crisis of Infinite Earths moment and all the Earth's dimensions end up combining into one?
Exactly. That's exactly where my thought is heading. I'm just like, what if? Because like everything we're talking about right now, the whole day I'm like, oh my God, that CW crossover. And I can just picture it, because if this is as, like, obviously anyone who's been listening to us this far know that we all agree that Dino Fury, sorry, still trying to figure out which Dino we're talking about. Dino Fear has been the top season by far. And so far with everything they've been giving us, I'm reaching. I know I'm reaching. But what if it's gonna get as good as that CW crossover? Wow.
That would be crazy. Gosh. That would be crazy.
I mean, high key, that's some next level shit. Like, dead ass. Like, that's some next level stuff. Because it's like, if somehow the Sporix or whatever, you know, this situation turns into, merge everything like that, then that would mean that things are like, it would be infinite possibility. It'll be, you know, like there's no end to what could happen.
And then with Void Knight, it also makes me wonder, okay, I would like to believe that Void Knight is a human underneath somehow, and he's either stuck in Morph or whatever, right? So it makes me wonder, with him bringing his partner back, whomever she might be to him, what does that entail? Because it seems like right now he's willing to go to certain lengths to bring her back. So is he bringing her back so they can rule the world together as like the new Rita is and Lord Zed, or that's just it? He just wants to bring her back and then go dip, bye. Thanks for all the fight, guys. Like, what is it, right? So it makes me wonder in terms of that as well too. And if he is an actual Ranger Knight, is he connected to the Morphin Grid, and how? What's his backstory?
Right. I mean, that's a very good question. And I mean, of course the show is going to answer it, but to me, it's just like, my thing is, I'm just more so, when it comes to just retconning this whole world, because we know that the show itself is now starting to fall into the genre of like your Marvel and your DC CW universes and things of that nature, where everything is connected. So they're trying to basically salvage everything and try to bridge gaps and, try to make things connect. However, it's all in a matter of how are they going to do this. And I do believe that a very cool way that, like as you mentioned, Lena, would be to somehow make all the universes become one, combine everything, and make all the worlds one. That would actually be kind of cool. Now, are they? Probably not, but it would be nice to see, or if they actually decide that they want to, not do that, at least let them have have separate Earths. You know what I'm saying? Let them have a Earth 369 or Earth 218. Shout out to Power Rangers Unworthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, let them have all of these different Earths. That would be fantastic, to be honest. Like, that would actually be kind of dope to, have a Ranger team be specified. This is on another Earth. This is not on Earth Prime. This is on Earth, John 16, John 3:16. You know what I'm saying?
Right?
Like, no, this is on this Earth, like that type thing.
I mean, by Beast Morphers, wow. We're gonna get this right one day, guys. We are. By having Dino Thunder, wow. Okay.
Dino Charge.
Dino Fury. Dino Fury.
Okay.
By having Dino Fury introduce the Morphin Master again has really opened up a lot of freaking ideas. A lot. And if they are going to try to bring Power Rangers to the mainstream level as Marvel, if they are, I don't know if they are. But again, I'm reaching here, but I have hopes, especially for this season. And if they're going to try to bring up to that level, wow. Like, just wow. I cannot wait to see what they're going to do. Just
same here. Now, so listen, Dino Fury, y'all been kicking ass, but if y'all gonna really do the things, y'all need to do the things. That's all I'm gonna say. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm gonna say on that. Okay, because y'all got a whole lot of questions to answer. Okay,
right. And especially since with like certain things that a lot of people that I've noticed online are referencing it to, like what's it? What did they call that guy? Void Knight, Mr. Freeze or Dr. Freeze? I don't really.
Mr. Freeze.
Mr. Freeze. Okay, I'm not very familiar with the characters, so I'm sorry. But it's like they're referencing it to what? Is it Batman or which universe?
Batman.
Right. So I just see like all these references to DC, to Marvel that just really is just really giving me the vibes. Like I'm just like, oh yeah, I see it. Oh yeah, I'm here for it. Like, bring it.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. It's like if y'all going to do it, don't pull a Mortal Kombat and you know what I'm saying, go the easy way out. I'm not going to spoil nothing, but I'm just saying.
Do not. I've seen your reviews on it. I've seen it, but do not.
No, I ain't gonna spoil because I know you ain't seen it, but it's all good. But just don't take the easy way out. That's all I'm gonna say. Like if you're gonna go hard in the paint, go hard in the paint. You know what I'm saying? And don't chicken out because we want to see what's really going to go happen, what's really going down, what's really going to happen. And I think they're gonna do it.
I think they're gonna do it. I mean, they got us hooked this far, so like they better,
right?
They
better. That's all. Right? They better because
they've been teasing hardcore. They're like, we cannot. Well, the Rangers or the actors of the Dino Fury, they've been teasing us hardcore too. They've been saying stuff like, we cannot wait to see for you guys to see what else we have in store. There's so much more to come. So it's just like, I really hope that they're not just saying that. Like, which season was it? I think it was Dino of Thunder or one of the seasons that was like teasing
Dino Charge.
Dino Charge. There you go. See, guys, we're gonna get all these dinos right one day. One day we will get it right. Bear with us. But anyhow, I really hope. I mean, so far they have told us that we're gonna like it. We've loved it. So hopefully they're not lying to us about having all these great things coming and then it's a flop. So fingers crossed.
Right. I mean, Simon Bennett really has been on point because he was like, "You're gonna love the morph." We did. He was like, "You're gonna love episode 4." We did. So it's like Simon Bennett knows what's up. He knows what's up. He knows what's up.
Echoing what I said earlier and what you guys said, I'm looking forward to seeing what's next, and I just hope that we get some answers and some explanations and some new content explaining some stuff, because I think that'd be really fun.
I agree. That's what I want to, new content, because I mean, go ahead and bring us the CW verse. Like, I'm just playing. But anyway, but on that note, my name is Brandon.
I am Lena.
And I'm Will.
And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.